and Z.
Yeah, that's incredible. I hear what you're saying, and I think of another, like a personal reflection on what you're saying is, because you're talking about how the landscape, returning to the landscape at different times, you're going to experience it in different ways because of, like, the flora and the fauna and everything that happens. Like, you're going to have different things happening at different times, so you're going to be returning to, for I guess most, right? Oh, I'm going back to the same place, but you're not seeing the same place, or you're not seeing it in the same way. And it reminds me of where I live, being on the river.
Mm.
I go to the river, and I visit the river often. But even though I'm stepping at the same, like, I'm walking down the same path and I'm going to the same spot, and I could probably do it blindfolded because I've been there so many times, but I'm not experiencing the same version of the river because the river is always moving and there's this change in the ecology, and it's ever, like, from second to second, the way that the water moves, and trees that come down, or this or that, right? There's always this ever changing environment, and it makes me think of, from like a spiritual aspect. You know we talk about sometimes as living between realms, or experiencing things that are a place between a place, or time outside of time, or some of these, like, what some might consider as like mystical woo woo nonsense. But when you look at it from that perspective, like, it's manifesting itself in reality before our very eyes. We're seeing a landscape change constantly, and so it's never really truly the same place. It's different. It's changing. It's evolving, and we're experiencing life, in our lives,
Yeah,
and we're intertwined in that whole experience.
absolutely, man. There is an ecological term that's called dynamic equilibrium that is truly, to me, like the singular most foundational thing that called me to heathenry. Dynamic equilibrium is explained as the idea that things are constantly in motion and things are constantly changing, but they have a state that they tend towards. And things can disrupt that, but if it's not a absolutely catastrophic disruption, for instance, Ragnarok, things will reinsert themselves and things will return to their patterns of stability. Everything is constantly whirling and changing in cycles, but there is this sort of axis, there's this center point and this state of order that kind of holds it all together. And like that as the conception of what deities are in heathenry, right? The word Asir being derived from the word os, which means pillar, as these like static foundational forces that, yeah, on the minor scale, things are changing every day. There's chaotic ups and downs and fluctuations one way and the other, but there is this deeper axis around which everything spins and everything is held in relation with everything else. So yeah, the idea that you never step in the same river twice very much to me relates to that. And the idea that, yeah, you walk out in the woods and every single day is different than the one before, but a lot of the processes are the same. The maple is still the first tree for its sap to run when the crust of the frost breaks. And, the hickory, even though it grows slowly, will always grow to be the tallest tree in its forest. So, like, there are certain laws that are written in the land. There are certain things that always happen, even if the smaller scale changes.
Mm.
Sort of, we get distracted by those. But there are like deeper movements and deeper resonances that kind of hold the whole thing together.
Yeah, the macro versus the micro
Very much so.
thing. Yeah.